Have you ever felt like you were sacrificing your inner peace in exchange for other people's approval? Have you ever lost sleep wondering whether the path you're following is truly yours or just what others expect of you? Think about it for a moment. How many times have you said yes when your entire being was screaming no? Carl Jung, one of the most revolutionary psychologists in history, left us a lesson that few have the courage to apply. Your inner peace is non-negotiable, and defending it is not optional. It is essential for your psychic survival. The modern world is designed to keep you disconnected from yourself. Constant notifications, comparisons on social media, professional, family, and social expectations, all of it conspires to pull you away from your center. And while you struggle to stay afloat in this ocean of distractions, something within you quietly withers, your connection to your authentic self. Jung understood this perfectly when he said, "Your vision will become clear only when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens." This is not just a beautiful phrase. It is a radical invitation to an inner awakening that few dare to experience. Why? Because looking within can be terrifying. It means facing your shadows, those parts of yourself you've repressed, ignored or rejected for years. Jung devoted much of his life to studying this concept of the shadow, discovering that it is precisely in those dark corners where our greatest potential for transformation lies. Think about the last major decisions you made. Did they truly come from your inner truth? Or were they automatic responses based on fear, guilt, or the need for approval? Don't judge yourself for the answer. Just observe honestly. Jung firmly believed that every time we ignore our intuition and act against our inner truth, we create a psychic conflict that eventually emerges as anxiety, depression, or a deep sense of emptiness. Your unconscious always knows when you're betraying your essence, and it won't hesitate to let you know through these symptoms. Do you recognize that feeling? That knot in your stomach when you say yes to something you don't want to do? That restless night when you know you're living a life that isn't yours? That constant tension you feel around certain people who drain your energy? These are not just fleeting discomforts. They are powerful messages from your psyche telling you that something needs to change. The good news is there is a path to liberation, and it begins with a simple yet profound decision to choose to defend your inner peace above all else. Jung expressed it masterfully. "I know my demons and I could call them by name." This knowledge is not accidental. It is the result of a courageous inner journey, a commitment to authenticity that few are willing to make. But what does it really mean to defend your inner peace? It's not about isolating yourself from the world or rejecting your responsibilities. It's about establishing a sacred relationship with yourself, where your needs, your values, and your emotional well-being become non-negotiable priorities. This means learning to set clear boundaries. Jung understood that boundaries are not selfish walls, but acts of self-love and respect for others. When you say no to what doesn't resonate with you, you are saying yes to your truth. And contrary to what many fear, healthy boundaries do not push the right people away. They simply filter out those who are not aligned with your evolution. Imagine for a moment what your life would be like if every decision you made were aligned with your true essence. How would you feel waking up each morning? What kind of relationships would you nurture? What kind of environment would you create around yourself? Jung reminds us that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is perhaps one of his most powerful teachings. We are not doomed to repeat painful patterns. We are not victims of random circumstances. We are active creators of our reality, but only when we dare to look at the unconscious forces that have been guiding us. The process of integrating the shadow, as Jung called it, is fundamental to defending your peace, because you can't protect what you don't fully understand. When you recognize and accept your darker aspects, they lose their destructive power and become sources of wisdom and creativity. Think about those parts of yourself that you've tried to hide: your anger, your sadness, your insecurities, your deepest desires. Jung taught us that these aspects are not flaws to eliminate, but valuable messengers containing crucial information about who we truly are. When you begin to embrace these rejected parts, something extraordinary happens. Your energy stops being divided. You no longer need to waste psychic resources maintaining a facade or suppressing unacceptable emotions. All that freed up energy can now be directed toward your growth and well-being. This is the true meaning of defending your peace with your life. It's not an external battle, it's an unwavering internal commitment to your psychological integrity. Self-acceptance is the essence of the moral problem and the epitome of a complete philosophy of life, Jung said. And he was right, because when you fully accept yourself, you no longer need external validation. You no longer feel threatened by others' opinions, and you no longer sacrifice your well-being just to fit in. But let's be honest, this path isn't easy. Our society is not designed to encourage introspection or authenticity. From an early age, we are taught to prioritize external expectations over our internal needs. We are trained to seek approval, to avoid conflict at all costs, to maintain superficial harmony even when we are falling apart inside. Breaking free from these patterns takes courage. The kind of courage Jung described when he said, "We are not what happens. To us, we are what we choose to become." This conscious choice to defend your inner peace may seem selfish to those accustomed to your compliance, but it is the most compassionate act you can do for yourself and, ultimately, for everyone around you. How can you give from a place of emptiness? How can you love genuinely when you're disconnected from your own heart? How can you inspire others when you're living a life that isn't truly yours? Jung understood this deeply. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And when you awaken to your true nature, everything changes. Superficial relationships begin to dissolve, while authentic connections flourish. Situations you once tolerated now become intolerable, not out of anger, but out of self-love. Decisions that once seemed impossible now appear as the only viable paths. This awakening is what Jung called individuation, the process by which we become psychologically whole and undivided. It is not a final destination, but a continuous journey of self-discovery and self-realization. And here lies the most beautiful paradox. When you defend your inner peace, when you commit to your truth above comfort or approval, you don't become more selfish, you become more generous. You don't become rigid but more compassionate. You don't isolate yourself from the world, but participate in it from a place of authenticity and personal power. Jung noted that the shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no one-size-fits-all formula for living. This deep understanding frees us from the tyranny of shoulds and invites us to create our own path, one that honors our uniqueness. Think about the areas in your life where you've been wearing shoes that don't fit. Maybe it's that relationship that's become an emotional prison. Maybe it's that job that drains your energy but doesn't feed your soul. Or maybe it's a family environment where you feel invisible or misunderstood. Jung taught us that these misalignments are not coincidences. They are invitations to awaken, to reclaim our authenticity, to defend our inner peace with the fierceness of someone protecting their most precious treasure. Because that's exactly what your inner peace is, a treasure. It's not a luxury or a privilege reserved for a few. It is your birthright, your natural state when you are no longer at war with yourself. Your task is not to seek for love, Jung said, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. The same can be said for inner peace. You don't need to create it. It already exists within you. Your only responsibility is to remove the obstacles standing in its way. These obstacles are often limiting beliefs, negative thought patterns, toxic relationships, self-destructive habits, or commitments that drain your energy without adding value to your life. Each time you identify and eliminate one of these blocks, you allow your natural peace to rise a little more. It's like clearing a spring. The pure water was always there. It just needed to be freed from the debris that blocked its flow. And here comes the most important part. Something Jung understood deeply. Defending your inner peace is not something you do once and it's done. It is a daily practice, a constant declaration of your commitment to your psychological and spiritual well-being. Every time you say no to something that compromises your integrity, you are defending your peace. Every time you allow yourself to feel a difficult emotion rather than suppress it, you are defending your peace. Every time you choose authenticity over approval, you are defending your peace. And this requires vigilance, because the world will not stop trying to invade your sacred space. People will continue projecting their expectations onto you. Society will keep trying to mold you to fit its norms. The external noise will never fully disappear. Jung expressed it beautifully: be silent and listen. The inner forest begins to sing in the midst of external chaos. Your task is to create and protect this inner silence, where you can hear the voice of your innate wisdom. This leads us to another of Jung's foundational teachings: the importance of introversion in a world that obsessively values extroversion. The person who looks within awakens, he said, recognizing that true power does not come from constant external stimulation, but from cultivating a rich inner life. Dedicating time to solitude, reflection, contemplation, it's not a luxury. It's a psychological necessity. It's in those moments of stillness that you reconnect with your essence, where you can hear your true needs, where you recalibrate your inner compass. Jung understood that there is deep wisdom in silence, an intelligence that transcends rational thought and connects directly to the collective unconscious, that vast reservoir of ancestral knowledge we share as humanity. When you learn to access this wisdom, your decisions are no longer based solely on external data or logical considerations. They incorporate an intuitive dimension that often leads you down unexpected, yet deeply aligned paths. This is the irony that Jung discovered. The more you delve into your unique individuality, the more you connect with the universal. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And what awakens is not just your individual consciousness, but your conscious participation in something much larger. The collective human psyche, your dreams, your personal symbols, your deepest intuitions, they all contain fragments of a wisdom that transcends your personal experience. This understanding radically shifts the way you view your responsibility to defend your inner peace. It is no longer simply an act of self-protection. It becomes a contribution to collective well-being. Because every time you heal an inner wound, every time you integrate an aspect of your shadow, every time you choose authenticity over falsehood, you are elevating the collective consciousness. As Jung pointed out, the world hangs by the thread of the soul of every human being. Your inner work is not trivial. It is perhaps the most significant work you can do. In a world fragmented by artificial divisions, your commitment to psychological integrity becomes a revolutionary act. Now, how does this defense of your peace manifest in daily life? Jung offers us several keys. First, learn to recognize the difference between your authentic voice and the internalized voices of others. Ask yourself constantly, is this truly what I want, or is it what I believe I should want? The confusion between these two voices is the source of countless forms of suffering. Second, cultivate an intimate relationship with your unconscious through dreams, active imagination, art, or any practice that allows you to access the deeper layers of your psyche. Jung considered these bridges to the unconscious, vital to psychological well-being. Third, embrace paradox. Jung discovered that psychic health does not consist in eliminating inner contradictions, but in holding them in dynamic balance. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become, he said, acknowledging our capacity to sustain multiple truths simultaneously. Both recognize and honor your natural cycles. Jung observed that the psyche does not function linearly, but cyclically. There are times for action and times for contemplation, times of expansion and times of contraction. Respect these rhythms rather than forcing yourself to maintain a constant state. And fifth, and perhaps most important, recognize that defending your inner peace does not mean reaching a state of perpetual serenity. Jung never promised a life without conflict or suffering. What he offered was a way to relate to these challenges, consciously and transformatively. There is no coming to consciousness without pain, he wrote. Acknowledging that psychological growth inevitably requires us to face painful aspects of our experience. The inner peace we seek to defend is not static. It is a dynamic peace, the ability to remain centered even in the midst of the storm. This understanding frees us from the futile pursuit of a life without problems. Instead, it invites us to cultivate inner resilience, the capacity to remain true to our essence, even when circumstances try to pull us off course. Jung expressed this beautifully. I looked death in the face, saw hell and returned. I was punished enough, and now I want peace. The peace he longed for was not the superficial calm of someone who avoids conflict. It was the deep peace of someone who has faced their demons and come to terms with them. And that is what it truly means to defend your peace with your life. It's not about building impenetrable walls around your heart. It's about cultivating an inner core so solid that you can remain true to yourself, even when everything around you seems to fall apart. Think about the people you admire most. Isn't it true that they all seem to possess this quality? The ability to stay centered in their truth, to act from their integrity, to hold their inner compass even under external pressure. This is what Jung called individuality, and he considered its development the central task of the second half of life. Personality, as the full realization of the wholeness of our being, is an unattainable ideal. But ideals are not final goals, Jung reminds us. They are signs on the path. Don't be discouraged if this process feels overwhelming. Every small step toward authenticity counts. Every moment you choose truth over convenience matters. And in those moments when you feel lost, Jung offers a simple but profound reminder. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Always return to that center, to that inner compass that will never lead you astray, though it may, at times, take you down unexpected paths. Because in the end, as Jung discovered through decades of working with the human psyche, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And it is in that awakening that we find not only our personal peace, but our unique contribution to the collective awakening of humanity. Imagine for a moment a world where each person defended their inner peace with the same determination they defend their material possessions. A world where authenticity was valued above conformity. A world where psychological development received as much attention as technological progress. That was Jung's dream, and it can become our reality, one person at a time, one act of courage at a time, one conscious choice at a time. So I ask you, are you ready to defend your inner peace with everything you've got? Are you willing to make your psychological well-being a non-negotiable priority? Can you commit to listening to and honoring that inner voice that has always known what you truly need? Because as Jung taught us, your task is not to seek love, but merely to seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. And the same can be said for inner peace. It is not something you need to create or search for externally. It is already there, patiently waiting for you to remove the obstacles you've placed in its path. Every time you say no to something that doesn't resonate with you, you are removing an obstacle. Each time you honor your needs, you are removing an obstacle. Each time you choose to act from your truth instead of fear, you are removing an obstacle. And with every obstacle you remove, your inner spring flows a little more freely, nourishing not only your life, but the lives of everyone who comes into contact with you. This is the invitation Jung extends to us across time. Be who you were meant to be, not who others want you to be, not who you think you should be, not who you pretended to be in order to survive, but who you truly are. In all your complexity, with all your contradictions, with all your unique gifts and challenges. Because in the end, as Jung discovered, finding yourself and becoming fully human is a lifelong task, and perhaps the only one that truly matters. Everything else, success, recognition, possessions, is meaningful only in so far as it supports or reflects this central journey. So today, right now, I invite you to make a commitment to yourself, a commitment to defend your inner peace as the priceless treasure it is. a commitment to listen to and honor that inner voice you've often ignored, even though it has always known the way. Because, as Jung assured us, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens, and the world desperately needs you to awaken. If this message resonated with you, I invite you to share it with someone who might need it. Sometimes, the right words at the right moment can be the catalyst for a deep transformation. Let me know in the comments what part of this message touched your heart the most, or what changes you plan to make to defend your inner peace. Your experience is not only valuable to me, it's valuable to this entire community of seekers walking alongside you on this path of self-discovery. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any content like this. Together, we're creating a space where authenticity is celebrated, inner growth is prioritized, and the transformative teachings of brilliant minds like Carl Jung can continue to illuminate our path. Always remember, your inner peace is non-negotiable. Defend it with your life. Because, as Jung discovered, it is precisely in that defense that you uncover who you truly are, and the unique gift you came here to share with the world. Thank you for being here, for listening, and above all, for having the courage to look within. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, may your journey toward authenticity be filled with discoveries that transform not only your life, but the world around you. Because, as Jung knew, the world depends on the thread of each person's soul.